Hello, hello. Give me 1 second. StreamYard was not working for me. I had to start a whole new live stream, so the links didn't work. And now I just stream my headphones. Like, oh yeah, I'm talking to people today. Let me get my headphones on. Okay. Oh, and the music is still playing, even though I thought I shut it off. I must have hit it twice. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Jamie, come join us over on StreamYard. I tagged you with the link. So who are we missing? I see Jamie, Monica, Bree. So we're missing Chantel and Laura. If you jump on, I've tagged you with the StreamYard link. So that's the link you need to use to come and join us live. So we're going to start with Bree. So I will ask you before I bring you on, but let me do some housekeeping stuff real quick before we get started. Tonight is one of my favorite sessions. So I actually do these on the podcast, on the Money Mindset podcast. If you haven't listened to those yet, they're labeled BSS. And it's where I talk to you guys and we work through as much as we can in about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, your biggest struggle and like some small action steps that you can start taking now to help you get through it. So, Laura, jump onto StreamYard. I see you are here. So jump onto StreamYard and then we're waiting on 2 more people, which they didn't have the correct link because StreamYard was messing with me anyway. We're going to work through it live together. So what I really love about these sessions is you get to see and hear that you're not alone. Like as many of these sessions that I have done, it usually boils down to like the same struggles, even though like it's different situations and different like minute details. The overarching theme is usually pretty similar. And so you will see that and you'll be able to relate as well. So we're not going to dive into the nitty-gritty details of the numbers. That would just take too long. And so this is more an overarching struggle. So we are going to get started. If you have any questions, make sure and put them in the chat. Tag your accountability buddy. And this is the last live session until Sunday's giveaway. So we have a Get Shit Done session tomorrow, but that won't be live. That's just a co-working session on Zoom. And so that's not really a live event. This is the last live event aside from the workshop that has been rescheduled, which is open to everybody, not just this group. So for this group, for the bootcamp, this is it. So if you have questions, if you feel like you need some extra help, please put it in the chat. And also, of course, and I'm sure I don't need to say this because you guys are amazing, but please be kind to the people that are willing to show up and share their details and their story to get some help. So I'm sure everybody will, but just like to throw that out there. Please thank everybody for being willing to do this for you. Really, it's helpful for them, but it's also helpful for you as well. Okay. All right, Bree, give me a thumbs up if you are ready to go. All right. Welcome, Bree. Hello. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I am good. You are cutting out on me a little bit. Let me check my internet. Okay, I am on the right internet. Let me just check my speed and make sure. Okay, my speed is normal, so it's not, I don't think anybody's on the internet. So we're just going to do the best we can. Hopefully it'll be okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I can. Okay, that didn't cut out that time. All right, so we're just going to go with it and see what, and hope the tech works for us. All right. So thank you so much for being willing to come on here and kind of work through this together. I know it can be nerve wracking being on video if you're not used to it. And like, you're kind of like, people are watching you, not to like make you more nervous than you probably already are, but we're all in the same boat and this group of women are just so wonderful. So no worries there. Try and relax. Like I said, we're not going to dive into like the nitty gritty numbers, but I do want to kind of work through whatever you're struggling with. So, can you give us a quick overview of your situation? Are you single income, kids, married, just kind of like the overall details? And what do you feel like you're struggling with right now in terms of your money?
Yeah, so I had a job at a hospital, and I actually quit July last year because I had my daughter. So I've just become a stay-at-home mom. So now instead
Awesome.
of getting paid
Congratulations.
weekly, we're
Uh
only
huh.
getting paid twice a week. So we're trying to figure out the budget with just one income now since we've moved and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you've had a lot of changes in the last year. So that is
Yeah.
totally normal that you're kind of struggling with that. Now, what do you feel like is the maybe overarching struggle? Is it like not knowing when to pay which bills? Because I know similar situation when I was working before I stayed at home, we would get paid every week. So it was really easy to, oh, I'll just pay for it Friday. I'll just pay for it Friday or whatever. And then when you go down to one income, it's like, oh, I gotta wait a whole other week. Like,
Yep.
is that what do you feel like is kind of the struggle with switching to that?
I think I'm finally getting it figured out, like which paycheck to pay the bills with, because I got your spreadsheet the other day. So I've been
Awesome.
trying to fill that out. um, but my husband's really bad about like ordering tractor parts and all that. So I'm trying to figure out like which is the best paycheck to get that to come out of with all the big bills that we have coming out right now.
Gotcha. Okay, so you've got the spreadsheet. Now, before you start like really diving into the spreadsheet, unless that's just your jam, I like to write things out on paper first. I don't know, it just with my brain, it just makes sense. Even though the spreadsheet does the math, I don't know. It just works better if I write it down on paper first. So if you haven't done that yet and you're similar to that, I would kind of just play around with things and kind of write it down before really diving into the spreadsheet because the spreadsheet can get complicated if you don't already have the numbers. Like if you're just plugging them in, it's great. But if you're trying to figure that part out, it's better to wait until you figured it out, then plug in the numbers. So I don't know
Okay.
if that's helpful or if you've already kind of figured out the spreadsheet. Yeah, it's a lot easier if you already know what bills you're going to pay and to just plug the information in. But when you're trying to figure that out, it's easier just to lay it out and kind of move things around.
Okay.
The other thing with that is if you're not quite on that schedule yet, it can take some time to where you're paying things ahead. So you may have to pay a bill twice in a month to get on that schedule. So, like if you have been paying a bill out of the second paycheck, but you want to get it paid out of the first paycheck for 1 month, you're going to have to pay it out of both paychecks on
Okay.
paper at least. So that's where like the extra paychecks, he would have two a year if he's biweekly.
Mhm.
That's a really good opportunity to get on that schedule if you don't have a
Okay.
lot of wiggle room. Now my mind just went blank. Okay, so have you or are you able to make the numbers work on just one income? Like, is that doable?
Yes, I figured that out the other day. I sat down and actually wrote down like all of our monthly subscriptions on top of our normal bills and like figured that out.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, that's good. That is good. Because especially if people like if you don't do it ahead of time and you just want to stay at home and you don't really know the numbers, it could be an
Yeah.
income problem, right? But if you're good on that part, now do you have do you have everything laid out on an actual calendar yet? Like printed on the calendar?
Yes, I actually just got a planner that I started filling out.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Because that will help when you're trying to figure out which bills to pay out of which paycheck if you actually like are able to look at it on a calendar. So that will help tremendously as well. Let's see. Somebody says I'm totally lost. I think I must have missed all things in sessions before today. Well, I'm sorry that you're lost today. We're just kind of working through we have a couple volunteers to just kind of work through what they're struggling with. So it may not always be something that we've talked about during the rest of the boot camp either. So, okay. So have I answered like, or have we worked? Does that answer what you're struggling with? Because I'm trying to think like if that was like really what you were, what you meant by
Yes, and I do
struggling with
have
the
one
paycheck to paycheck.
question.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the bills at the first of the month through like the 15th, that would be with the check prior, right? And then
Yes.
okay, perfect. I just want to make sure I have that right because that's how I wrote it out on my calendar.
Yes. So since
Okay,
he's biweekly, the beginning of the month will be paid from the second paycheck of the previous month.
perfect. Okay.
So he'll typically
I
have two. And how I do is I'll just do number one, number two, because the dates change on that schedule. So yeah, the first of the month is paid with the number two of the previous month. Um, oh, Chantel, you totally clarified my issue trying to get ahead, paying it a second time of the month makes sense. Yes. And Chantel, there's a link for you in the comments for StreamYard to come join us because you were the one of the ones as well that saved a seat. Okay. So um what do you think you can do that you're not already doing to kind of work through this in just like the next 24 hours? Could be something small like just finishing writing it out on the calendar for the either the rest of February or even March.
I think going through and making sure that I have all of our subscriptions written down and with the prices next to them. That way I know exactly what's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you could even put on the calendar like a little checkbox just so you know when it's come out too. I like
Okay.
to do that on my tracker at least, but I know some people like to put it on the calendar too so they can like just visually see it all. Because most people, I think, I mean, obviously not everybody, but a lot of people are visual learners. So just having the actual calendar in your face and then highlighting it with the two different colors for the two paychecks kind of helps
Mhm.
it click if it's not
Yeah.
if you're needing like a little bit of help with like trying to figure that part out.
Perfect.
Laura's having problems, connection issues. Now, did you have any other questions or anything else that you wanted to talk through with tonight?
I think that clears it up for me, just making sure I was doing it correctly.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, if you have any other questions, let me know. We can bring you back on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Monica, give me a thumbs up if you are ready to come on. All right. Hello, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I am good. Oh, there's comments coming through. Let me check those real quick. Alyssa, I put all my bills as a task. Good idea. See, I have done that as well. And then I just still ignore the tasks. I have tasks from like months ago that I haven't checked off on Google Calendar, but that is a good idea if you don't ignore them. With subscriptions, would you recommend doing monthly or annual? So for me, it just kind of depends on the pricing. Like a lot of time, or well, not a lot of times, a lot of times in my business expenses, you sometimes will save like 2 months if you pay for the year. So as long as it's within like not an astronomical amount, I will do that to save money. But a lot of times with just like my personal expenses, you don't really save anything, at least that I've noticed, but definitely check if you save, you can do it annually for sure. Okay. All right, Monica. Oh, why is this? There we go. It's like the comment doesn't want to go away. Okay, so Monica, um, lucky for you, you're not the first, so you kind of have an idea of what we're doing here tonight. So, what do you feel like you are struggling with that you would like to kind of talk through?
I guess organization would be the one word I would choose to describe. Um, and it's not an income issue. Um, it's almost like I make so much money that like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like it fluctuates, but um, that it just kind of gets scattered and it or thrown in the bank and it adds up. And then it's like I have my auto pay and auto things coming out. And then I just swipe my card and I like to write checks when I can. So like that keeps me organized. But then I have two dogs, full bred dogs that have emergencies and things like that. So then it's like I don't even think about it. I just go to the, emergency, and then that's a few $100s, which is fine. But it's like I'm never organized enough to like go back after spending like large amounts and seeing like what's going on, and then savings is another issue with organization. So like I'll have a bunch of cash or a bunch of money in the bank, and then I'm not taking the time to like figure out how much I want to save or tithe, or um, like if I make more one week, that should fluctuate how much goes into savings. So just things like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you like commission based or like paid cash where like you'll get a lot one week and then not much the next, or like big fluctuations like
It's not
realtors, they'll
big.
get like thousands of dollars one month and then like nothing the next or something like
No,
that.
it's not that dramatic. It's more like it's more consistent than that. It's way more consistent than that. It's not like a
Okay.
real estate agent where you wait to sell a house. It's just, sometimes we'll have like a slow month or a slow season, but it's not like I can't survive. It's just,
Okay.
yeah, it's not drastic like a real estate agent that, has to wait till
Okay.
they sell another house and budget, just a few $1,000s.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you paid on a consistent like schedule?
Yes.
Like weekly, biweekly,
Yes.
monthly? You are. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so without getting, a lot more information, um, one of the things that I just immediately thought of, and tell me if you think this might work for you. Totally fine if it doesn't, just throwing it out there. Um, some people like to have multiple bank accounts for different things. So let's say the income goes into one bank account, and then um, once you know how much, like just your regular bills, your auto pay, um, they'll just transfer that to like a bill pay account, and then all the bills come out of that one account. So then you don't have to like
Yeah.
track it as consistently. And then kind of the same idea with some other categories. So it could be animals, it could be just spending on whatever you want type of thing. It makes it more automatic. So it's easier to follow through with it, like savings. So if you had a savings one or sinking funds, which are non monthly expenses. So it's for those things like Christmas and birthdays and vet bills, those things that just are going to come up, but they don't come up like every single month like a regular bill, right? So
Sure.
um that's one idea
I like
that
that.
could help.
Mhm.
And what you could do now, you still do need to sit down and kind of figure out the amounts for those things, right? So you can make an informed decision of how much to divide up into those accounts. So at this point, do you have like your basic budget laid out yet? Do you know like your regular, or at least a baseline income, and your regular bills? Do you have that laid out yet?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So the other thing I would do if is, since you said it does fluctuate, I would still make a plan. So you've got like your basic income. So like usually so like the lowest amount that to expect, right? And then just your regular bills.
Hmm.
And then what I like to do when there's like extra money, so like whatever's over that baseline, still have a plan for it, but prioritize it. So like if car registration's coming up next month, or you need new tires in the next couple of months, things like that, I would list those in order of priority so you know where that money should go. So it's not just swiping the card, random spending type stuff when there's money in there. And then once it's gone, it's like, oh crap, where did that go?
Mhm.
It's even like, where did I spend the money? So because that's very easy to do, especially if you don't have an income issue, because you have the money, or you
Yeah.
can make up the difference fairly easily, right? So it in a lot of ways, it's a lot easier to overspend
Yeah.
when you don't have an income problem.
Yeah.
That's fortunate, obviously, but also has you just have to be very intentional with
Mhm.
the extra, right? So, you mentioned tithing. So I would put that the baseline amount that you want to spend or send with like the minimum income, like your baseline income. And then when there's extra, if that's a priority for you, kind of put that toward the top of the list. So if there's
Mhm.
extra, this is how much goes to it. And then after that, this is where some money goes. And then after that, this is where the money goes. And that will be fairly consistent month to month. And then you will kind of change your priorities depending on the month for the extra income, where like the baseline income and bills should be relatively the same, right? Month
Yeah.
to month. So, and like I suggested with Bree, even a calendar, something visual will help you stay organized. And if you are like, now, I always say I'm not a very organized person, or at least I don't feel like I'm not like a type A type organized person. I don't know if you are. If you are, then I
No.
would suggest, oh, okay, I am not, but some suggestions you could do is the calendar, right? You could even, I've seen people have like a little budget station. So, like, they have a little area where they put their budget binder, their calendar, like their highlighters and their pens, and just kind of like it makes you uh, more excited really to work on your numbers, right? Because you do
Yeah.
need a little bit. Doing your budget, looking at the numbers is not fun. So if you can make it a little bit funner, then that kind of helps you follow through a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I would really encourage you to do that. And then, of course, we talked about in step one, like your vision. So kind of keeping that top of mind as well, because it's easy to get away from that when you are just kind of swiping the card and not really organized. And so it's just easy to get off track, right? Because you
Yeah.
have the money and it's like, well, I want this now, so I'm going to buy it.
Mhm.
So, putting reminders, visual reminders of your overall goal, your vision, where you can see it when you would typically make those impulse or make those decisions to spend money. So, like, um, could be on your bathroom mirror, in your closet, like when you're getting ready for work. It could be
Yeah.
wrapping a sticky note around your credit card or your debit card. Like, do I really need to spend this money, or, something
A
like
lot of the
that?
time they do feel like needs. Like I'm sure a lot of people have weaknesses like grocery shopping, and it's just like
Hmm.
if you're brought up a certain type of way, or you've dated certain people, or you just like certain things, it's just like, yeah, I
Hmm.
need like certain brands and certain things, but that also can be worked out. It's just sometimes it's just too much money going into food that's completely unnecessary. So there are other
Yeah.
that we can make too. So I realize
You
that.
definitely. So especially with food, and I'm glad you brought that up because that is a big struggle for a lot of us, myself included. Um, knowing kind of like those things that add to the overspending with food. So, like taking the kids to the store for me is a big one. I don't even go in the store anymore. I just do grocery pickup. So, that makes it a lot easier. Um, so trying to come up with some ways to save money there, meal planning, um, and it doesn't have to be like meal planning every night you never go out to eat again type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just having some things on hand so when you're tempted or don't know what to cook, you have a list of things you can cook. That's how I do it. I just make a list of stuff that I have on hand instead of saying, okay, this day we're eating this, that, Tuesday we're eating this. I just make a list of everything we have. So then I can say, okay, this is what we have. What do you guys want? Type of thing. And because it may change, we're like,
Mhm.
I don't want that anymore today. So, kind of having that plan. And you could even have that, by your budget calendar, and then your menu, your
Yeah.
meal plan, and kind of challenging yourself a little bit to step outside the box and try, some off-brand or generic things and stuff like that. You're talking about just certain things that you like. So how does that sound? Does any of that sound helpful that you can start implementing?
Oh yeah, it sounds wonderful. I like the multiple bank account idea. I love Capital One, and I have like they have different like accounts that you can have,
Buckets. I
but
think
like
they,
same,
yeah.
yeah, like it's all in the same app, which I really like. And then my credit cards are on there too for Capital One. Um, and then I do have another bank, but it's almost like I don't even know what to use it for. Like I can write checks with that one. I guess I can write checks with both, but yeah, I do like the idea. I just, yeah, would need to figure out, um, yeah, I liked what you said, like making one of them like a sinking fund. Um,
Mhm.
like when the dogs need whatever, or, just, yeah, sinking funds is probably a big deal for me. That's probably where the
Yeah,
block
it
is
sounds like it.
coming from.
Yeah.
So,
One thing I would think about with the bank that's not like your main bank, definitely think about putting money in there that is for savings that you don't want to touch. So maybe like your
yeah,
emergency fund that it's only there in an emergency because it does make it harder. So it's harder to spend, right? Since it's at another bank. Of course, with Zelle nowadays, you can do it
yeah,
instantly, but don't tell yourself that. You can just kind of to keep it separate. So yeah. And I love Capital One too, because you can have all the different
yeah,
labels in one
totally.
account. So that makes it a
Mhm.
lot easier.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any questions? Anything else that maybe I didn't answer?
No, that was it. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Oh, all right, Laura. I hope you are having or got your tech working here.
I hope so.
Hello.
Hi, you're much
Hi.
better. This is my third device, so at least I've I managed to get on.
You're
But
trying. You're trying.
can you hear me okay? Because you're a little echoey, but if I'm okay with you, then we're good to go.
You sound good. You cut out just a little bit, but then when you're talking longer, it's not. So it could just be my connection. I'm a little
Okay.
echoey. Okay, let me move it closer. I don't know. I
No,
haven't
I think
changed
it's the
anything on my settings, so hopefully. Okay.
I can catch up.
All right. So, Laura, oh, you
Hello.
froze on me. Oh,
Oh
there
no.
you are. Oh my goodness.
But
Okay. Well, we're gonna try and get through. We're gonna try.
we will muddle through. Um, you answered a lot of the same issues for me that in Monica's chat there, but I tried to do this once before, and things were going along well, and then of course life happens and things happen. But I think what derailed me, or what I let derail me, was the emergency fund and the sinking funds. I guess the first time I didn't get the sinking funds thing, so I was saving money in separate accounts, so I didn't touch it. Regular, things like that for savings, and then something with the dogs, the car needed tires, and I would pull from there, and I always felt like I wasn't saving. So you're saying you should have like a separate emergency fund and separate sinking
Mhm.
funds?
Yeah.
Okay,
So let's dive into that
and
a little
then
bit
debt
more. Oh,
the and then I know debt repayment. So how should you go about allotting to all of those things from the start? Because I know even you should be paying debt, but you should still be saving at the same time. How would you do that?
gotcha. Yeah, so great question. Yeah, let's dive into sinking funds and I'll explain that a little bit more because we haven't talked about that during this boot camp. And some people may be like, what are sinking funds? I have no idea what you're talking about. So, sinking funds are just a savings fund for things that you're going to have to pay for. Let's say just in the next year, typically. So, vet
Right?
bills, especially like regular shots, regular visits, Christmas, birthdays, if you have any vacations planned, holidays vehicle registrations, things like that. And as the list goes on, it gets like more overwhelming. Like, how am I going to save for all these things and pay off debt and save for emergency fund?
Yes.
So the sinking funds is just money that you're setting aside that you know you'll have to spend. So it's not for just because. And so a lot of times it can feel real frustrating when we have the emergency fund and the sinking funds together, because it's like you're spending the money, but that's what
Right.
it's there for. So that's why I like to keep it separate. And for me, I even have to break down the sinking funds even more, because I will, like, one year I had Christmas and birthdays together. And so by like June, I was out of money for Christmas. And I'm like, that didn't work too well. So I had to keep it, separate accounts so that I had money left for Christmas. So just kind of depends on your personality and how you'll split that up. But just having the money set aside is a big stress reliever, even if you don't have. I love you too, honey.
Yes.
Good night. So you don't have to spend it. And then your emergency fund can just sit there, right? So there's a couple ways to fill your sinking funds, and it really depends on how it works best for you. So some people, let's say you want to save $1,200 for Christmas, because the math is easy. That's $100 a month. Or if you get paid bi-weekly, about $50 a paycheck, right? Some people like to just have that little bit consistently just automatically transferred, right? For me, and just how my personality works, I like to focus on one sinking fund at a time, fill it, move to the next one. So,
Okay.
like, I will use bonuses, extra paydays, tax refunds, things like that to fill the sinking funds. And then I don't have to think about it. And then I don't have to have an extra line item in my budget. Those things would come in order of priority. Like, when do you need it? When is your car registration due?
Okay.
How far away is Christmas? So that'll kind of determine like the priority. You're shaking my desk, honey. The priority of the order in which you do it. And then you'll save for your emergency fund. So ideally, which I realize is not going to be the case for everybody, I would like to see you have your regular bills, then your sinking funds, and then what is left goes to your goals. So saving for emergency fund and then debt. So I want you to save first and then pay off debt. And so you may need to focus on one, fill it, move to the next one, do it, move to the next one. So it's really hard, or it can be overwhelming when you're trying to do all of them at the same time. You're trying to do all the sinking funds and emergency
And
and pay off debt all at the same
and
time. It's like, oh, it's too much.
yeah,
Because it
and
is.
that's
It's
what
a
happens.
lot.
Push it aside and don't stick to it, and next thing it's 3 months, and yeah, it's exactly what happens. So I now that you've laid it out like that, it makes a lot more sense to be able to
Yeah.
stick with it for the long.
Exactly. So I would encourage you, for like, as your action step, think
Mhm.
of maybe like the next thing to focus on, and just one thing. So is it one sinking fund for something that's coming up relatively soon? And if you don't have anything, maybe you do just put how much ever into your general emergency fund for now until you hit like a goal amount, and then you can move on to like paying extra for debt.
Okay, that makes sense.
How does that sound?
Great, awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
a lot.
All right. Do you have good. I'm glad. And I love how everybody's like, "Oh, you answered my questions. You answered my questions." That's why I love these sessions, because it really does uh help like everybody. It
Yeah,
really does. So, because
and shows
it's like
us like
everybody kind of has similar questions.
yes, and that we're all in the same boat, or similar boats anyways, or you're not alone anyway in your issues. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great. Thank you so much.
Exactly. Oh, you're welcome. Do you have any other questions for me?
I think I'm good. I'm sure I'll get more information as you ask other people things, but I think for now I'm good. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. So, thank you. All right, Chantel, give me 1 second. I'm going to catch up on the comments real quick. Um, Maydeen is here. Okay, okay. You know what? I will catch up on the comments like because I'm way behind. All right, Chantel, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Come on stage. All right. Hello. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah. Yes, I sequestered myself, so hopefully nobody comes charging in. Yeah.
It's fine. As you can see, my kids are not even in bed yet either, and coming in it's totally fine. So,
I can see the dog
I don't know if
outside
you
the
caught the
door.
well, I
But yeah,
hope,
I've been listening to everything and you've answered like almost all of my questions. So
well, is there anything, that you feel like you're struggling with right now, that maybe we can add to, or any other questions?
so I think you just covered it like with the sinking fund. So like I feel like so we've adopted the cash system, right? And so I've got the spreadsheet, I've got everything laid out for each pay period. We've had a huge adjustment because last year I left a career that I've been in for over 10 years.
Oh,
I switched careers, took a huge pay cut, and went from biweekly paychecks to bi-monthly. So I'm getting paid on different, like we used to be on the same week, now it's all off. It's just like we've had a lot of adjustments on top of trying to catch up. But so now I've got everything into the spreadsheet. But what I find is that like, okay, payday comes. I take all the cash out that, for the cash envelopes. I feel really good about it. I pay all of what I have scheduled to be paid on that pay period. And then, it might be 2.5 weeks before we have another check. And inevitably stuff comes up. And then it's like, okay, but we've already used the cash because we had this much budgeted for gas, for groceries, whatever. And then, the kids forgot they needed this, or we have to register them for this. And like, as soon as I get any money into the sinking funds, they're empty again, and it wasn't enough to cover the things coming up. And it's just so I think we have a plan. Bree is my accountability buddy, and she was asking me like how things are going, and I think we have a plan with it. But I'm just curious, like what advice you would give people who are kind of playing catch up and getting started again with this like overwhelming kind of you're trying to commit to it, but then things just keep popping up. Like, how do you account for that?
yes, great, great question. So, what I would encourage you to do, especially in the beginning, while you're trying to figure all of that out, right, is to one, have a miscellaneous fund.
Hmm.
So if you have the room in your budget, um, have even $50, $100. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it's kind of your buffer for all those little things that pop up, especially with the kids and the kids stuff. So maybe even if you can do just $25 a payday, that may not be quite enough in the beginning. So if you can maybe do 50 a payday, just to give yourself that little bit of extra wiggle room, because if you are doing like the cash and you have everything down to the penny but no flexibility in there, it is going to be hard and you're going to feel very frustrated when things come up. But that's normal for things to come up, especially as you're doing that. So it's also important not to get so frustrated that you give up, right? Like you want to just still keep trying to make progress and focus on one thing at a time, just like with the sinking funds. The other thing I would suggest is if you can think of anything that might be coming up in the next month. So, are there sports registrations? I know the spring sports, at least in my area, they're starting to, they're open for registration now. We're getting close to the end of the school year. Are there going to be any fundraisers, sports camps, anything like that, that maybe you need to prioritize and set money aside ahead of maybe something else that's maybe lower priority and coming in like November, December? Um, so that might be helpful. But what do you think about the miscellaneous fund, or do you already have that?
I have it listed. It's just something that I haven't been able to get anything into. Now, like we just had another change too. So I know that like this next pay period is going to have all of my on-call pay, which is going to be a substantial influx. So like already have plans to kind of funnel some money into that, the emergency fund, just to give us a buffer because we haven't had it. But it's that waiting game until that check comes that I think is the frustrating part because, you know, everything's paid.
Yeah.
We're like current on everything. Everything feels really good, except for the fact that like, my son's away at college. If he calls me and says, "Hey, mom, I need an extra, $50 for gas," and it's like, I didn't budget that this month, so I don't know what to tell you. Like that's the hard stuff. But yeah, we do have. I
Yeah.
mean, at least we do have that coming where I can make that happen.
Okay, awesome. So it does sound like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. One thing I would encourage you to do while you're trying to still play catch up and kind of get things running a bit smoother is if you can do any kind of like no spend challenges. If
Hmm.
there is anywhere that you can possibly kind of cut back, especially with food. And I know we already talked about that with Monica, but that's usually a category that people have a little bit more flexibility with as opposed to like your regular bills, like it is what it is, right? So if you do have any flexibility of maybe doing a no spend challenge with no eating out or only eating out like one day a week, some kind of challenge that it's temporary. So it's not like going to be like that forever, but it's temporary in order to help you catch up. Or it could be, I don't know if you have like a lot of meals stocked up in your freezer or in your pantry where you can kind of throw some things together using things you already have, or where you don't have to spend as much at the grocery store for just kind of like a few ingredients that you may need. So, I don't know. Is that something, do you feel like that you could do as some kind of no spend challenge to kind of help you till you get caught up a little bit?
So I'm actually doing that. A friend from work and I
Awesome.
decided February was going to be a no spend. So like the wants versus needs. Um, I
Mhm.
am planning to do like the inventory of our freezer and the pantry this weekend because I do know that there's stuff there. We
Awesome.
don't eat out. We have really specific diets. So I know that like we
Okay, gotcha.
spend way too much on food. But I am planning on going through and seeing what we have so that I can try and utilize that more right now than adding to the stockpile.
Yeah, exactly. And in your Money Success Club dashboard, there are some pantry and freezer inventory
Mhm.
sheets. So if you haven't seen that, let me know. I can look for it. It should just be under meal planning, which is one of the little menus in your dashboard.
Yeah, they're printed
But
off for the week.
okay, awesome. Dang, you're like way ahead of me. I feel like I'm not even helping you here tonight. Okay,
No,
what
it is.
other questions?
It's helpful. I think the validation is really helpful. That like, 'cause
Okay, good.
when you feel like I feel like I'm doing the right things, but it's not clicking. It's not gaining traction just yet. So yeah, the validation is definitely helpful.
Well, it can feel like you're stuck or not making any progress because you're still in that messy phase, right? Of trying to
Mhm.
get caught up. But once you get there, imagine how much more progress you're going to be able to make um, compared to like if you hadn't been doing any of this at all. Right. And so then you'll be able to like see the reward and feel the progress. It's just like right now you're kind of stuck in that messy middle
Mhm.
phase. So I'm gonna love to be updated once you kind of get things going a little bit smoother and caught up, and let me know how the freezer pantry inventory challenge thing goes.
Will do. I'm actually kind of excited about it because we just did like a whole organizational challenge in January. So the pantry is really clean
Sweet.
right now and easy to catalog. So I want to strike while it looks
Perfect.
like that my kids haven't destroyed it. Yeah.
Perfect. See, it all worked out. There you go. All right. Now, I guess, do you have any other questions that maybe you haven't already figured out? We'll just validate it for you.
No, and my big question really was with like the sinking fund stuff. So that, I mean, you answered that before, and I think I've been going about it trying to put like some into every little fund, and that's been overwhelming. So hitting just like one at a time, I think is going to be a lot more. I'll see gains better than if I was trying to do every single one every month. So you
Yeah,
answered my
it
question
can be,
before I even.
especially in okay. All right. Well, awesome. I'm glad. All right. Well, I really appreciate you being here and congratulations on being a new member of Money Success Club. I'm excited to see all that you do.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is much needed.
Awesome. Well, keep us up to date and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. All right, let's catch up on questions. Hopefully, I'm not cutting out for you. It seems like everybody was kind of cutting out for me. So I'm assuming that it's my internet. So hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. Okay, let me catch up on. All right, so let's see Google Calendar. Okay, answered that one. Okay, Sarah says, I know both since some are monthly and some are annual. So that was about the subscriptions, monthly or annual. Melanie says, thanks for sharing. Yes, everybody tell the wonderful guests tonight, thank you for sharing. Like I said in the beginning, usually a lot of the questions are the same or similar. So I love having you guys on here because it really is validating, like Chantel said, hearing other people ask the same questions. All right. So, what steps do you do? First, regular bills, then sinking funds, then savings. Where does debt fit in? Extra debt comes in last until you have, so that is the right order. And then once you have hit like your savings goals, like I need this much for Christmas, I need this much in vehicles or birthdays or whatever, I want this much in the emergency fund. Once you've hit all those things, then you move on to debt. And when something comes up and you need to refill your sinking fund, you go back, refill it, then go back to debt. So debt is the last priority, which I know a lot of you don't like to hear that. And you like to move debt, pay off all the way at the beginning because it feels like you're like really doing something, right? And you are. But it is incredibly satisfying when something comes up and you don't have to add to your debt by swiping a credit card. You can just pay cash for it. It's way less stressful. Like I can't even tell you how what's the word I'm trying like of course it's inconvenient, right? But it's an inconvenience rather than emergency like when you get a flat tire, a dead battery. Cuz those things are going to happen. And so when you just go are proactive and set that aside, it's very rewarding. Maybe that's the word, rewarding when that comes up and you can pay for it without having to add to your debt. So, unless it's a debt you can pay off like in a month or maybe two, and then go to savings, especially if it's one with like a big monthly payment where like if you got that paid off really quick, it would like give you a lot more breathing room in your budget. I can see where it would be beneficial to move it up the line, but generally speaking, debt goes last. I hate to ask something off topic, but when is the next boot camp? So this style of boot camp I only do twice a year, where it's 3 weeks, giveaways, Telegram, homework, like all the things that we're doing here. I only do that twice a year. It's a lot of work and it actually costs me a lot of money. So I only do it twice a year, but I am planning on doing some like smaller boot camp style trainings, probably like maybe 5 to 7-ish days instead of the full 3 weeks. And I haven't decided when I'm going to be doing that, but this specific style, and I don't know if I will teach this specific boot camp. It is the most popular one. People love this boot camp, like what we're teaching. But I've taught it like 3 or 4 times now. So I haven't decided if I want to do a different topic or different steps. Or if I'll do this one again. So let me know. Do you want me to do this specific boot camp again? Or would you like a different one? All right. All right. Bree, thank you for letting me hop on. Absolutely. I'm not used to doing videos being live. Yeah, I totally understand that. So my brain was going blank. Everyone asked great questions though, and it definitely answered other questions I had come up. Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Switching to one income has been slightly annoying, but daycare is crazy. Yes, it is. And we couldn't find people for weekends, which is what my husband works and I used to work. Yes. I definitely needed the validation too, Chantel. Yes, I totally get that. I was a detective for a decade, and that was a major issue as well because I'd be on call. People, unfortunately, pass away at all hours of the day and night, and even daycare is very expensive. Yes. And they're only open for certain hours. So it's very hard for those of us that don't work an 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 job. It's very difficult to find childcare. So totally get that. Yes. And Chantel says, especially if you get too excited and cover your credit cards before you have the funds ready. Yes. I definitely am not a fan of jumping too soon and cutting up the credit cards. Now, some people you might need to, especially if you have like a lot of credit cards, but I am a proponent, gosh, I cannot think tonight. It is getting late, isn't it? Yep, it's almost 9 o'clock. It's my brain starts to shut off the closer we get to 9 o'clock. I like to have my all my options, right? So I still have one credit card. I use it. I get rewards. I pay it off, and I keep my very high credit score. So you don't have to have like 10 credit cards to have a good credit score. You can just have one. Of course, there's other factors in that, of course, too. But yeah, you don't want to limit all your options, right? At least I don't. I like to keep all my options open. All right. Alyssa says, thank you for sharing, ladies. Your questions were super, super helpful. Denise says, different boot camp. All right. Thank you for your feedback. All right, you guys, let me know if you have any other questions. Be sure to post in the group. Tomorrow, we've got the Get Shit Done session. That is at noon. So hopefully some of you can join us even on your lunch break. We usually have a lot of people work either while they're working or while they're on their lunch break. And we will do that. It's just a co-working session, so it won't be streamed. There won't be a replay. It's just a co-working session. So we hang out. I can answer questions. It's a time to like get some stuff done. So if there's something that you feel behind on in the boot camp, it's a good time opportunity to work on it. And then of course I'll be there if you have any questions. Maybe you hadn't thought of something. Maybe tomorrow you think of something, or if there's just something you didn't want to ask in front of everybody, you can come join us as well. But this is our last live. This is our last live together, guys, except for the drawing on Sunday. Well, in the workshop on Thursday. I keep forgetting because I rescheduled it. All right. Shelly says, thank you. This is awesome. Thanks for sharing. So tomorrow will be an hour. So we usually shoot for an hour. If we're having a good conversation, if we're working hard, if I don't think I have anything else going on tomorrow, I'll hang out because we're just working. So, and if people want to stay on longer and I need to jump off, I can make somebody else the host and you guys can hang out on my Zoom. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Lori won't be able to working with kiddos. Kiddos are fine. My kids are in here all the time. Kids are fine. Antoinette, I'm going to miss your smiling face. Well, aren't you in Money Success Club? You don't have to miss my face. You'll see me again. I hope to see you again. It's been fun having you back here. I haven't seen you in so long. Head Start. Oh, Okay, gotcha. That's what you meant. I get it now. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great week. If I don't see you tomorrow, don't forget we have the masterclass on Thursday. So I will cover some of the other topics like making extra money, saving money. So things that we haven't really deep dived into during the boot camp. I'll be talking about some of those things. And then Sunday's the giveaway. So yeah, make sure and get all your things done so you can be entered for the giveaway. So let's see. I can do 30 minutes. Awesome. Tomorrow's I can do 30 minutes tomorrow. I've been in class for the last 2 days. Tomorrow's my last day. Awesome. Well, 30 minutes is good too. All right, you guys, my brain is shutting off. It's time for It's time for bed. I'm going to have to jump off. But I hope you guys have a great week. And if you don't join us inside of Money Success Club, please come and join us for another boot camp. All right. Thank you. Christine says, thank you for sharing, ladies. Great questions. All right. Thank you, ladies, again. I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.